Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is talking about the afterlife in the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Do you go to heaven? Do you go to hell? Do you get reincarnated? Or do you just cease to exist? That's what we're looking to discover in today's video. If this is your first time coming to the channel, we release Crash Bandicoot content every weekend. We discuss theories, we debunk some theories, we talk Crash Bandicoot lore, we talk Crash Bandicoot news, we do some tier lists. Pretty much anything and everything Crash Bandicoot will be discussed here. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, consider subscribing. With that all said, let's jump back into the topic at hand. So right off the bat, the two characters that we know have survived post-death in the Crash Bandicoot franchise are Aku Aku and Uka Uka, the spiritual witch doctor masks, the guardians, the mentors. You know them, you love them. So this is from Crash Bandicoot Warped. Uka Uka comes out of his prison and he is in his spirit form. So their spirits can exit the masks, I guess. This is the only time we ever see it in the franchise, and it just appears that Uka Uka is looking for his mask. However, in the Insane Trilogy version of Warped, instead of having Uka Uka find his mask again, they just kind of had his spirit transform into a mask. I don't know why they took the liberty to do that. In the original trilogy, it's never shown. It's just assumed that his spirit found his mask again. There is another character who predates Uka Uka by a couple months that does a similar thing to him. Mr. Crumb. He was from the 99X game. He predates Uka Uka by 2 months, I believe. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It's unsure if he did the exact same Mojo ritual that Uka Uka and Aku Aku performed, but instead of fusing his spirit with the mask, he decided to fuse his spirit with his deceased body and bones. The only lore we have for Mr. Crumb says he came back from the dead to protect his treasure. So if we're going to go in line with other continuity, we would say that he did the same experiment or ritual that Uka Uka and Aku Aku did. And then we have other similar looking spiritual creatures that appeared in Crash Bandicoot 4. It's unsure if these are actually ghosts, because this is the offbeat level where they're having this big celebration and a parade and what have you. So these could be holograms, they could be animatronics. There's another one that kind of looks like Mr. Crumb. They're never stated to be ghosts, but if you want to believe that they're ghosts, that's your own headcanon. You know me, I like lore, so the fact that they're just showing up with no explanation puts a sour taste in my mouth. And on top of these skeleton-looking spirits like Mr. Crumb, we also have more Casper-like looking ghosts. They're playing some instruments. But like I said, there's other weird things in this level, like a giant face. There's this giant living face. Again, no explanation whatsoever. There's a bunch of them in the level, so it's up to your interpretation. I'd like to think that these are all animatronics or holograms or something, just to have fun at the celebration. You might think there's something else. But let's move on to the next confirmed ghost that we have in the Crash Bandicoot series. In Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, there was missions in the Halloween celebration, Nina's Nightmare, where you would break crates and ghosts would escape, and you would have to collect them for points. And then after the season ended, they went into different levels, and you would, again, collect them and get points. They are called ghosts, they look like ghosts, so in continuity, these are confirmed spirit creatures. We don't know if they are deceased characters that have come back as ghosts, or if they always existed as ghosts. So it's not fair to say if this adds to or subtracts from the afterlife theory of Crash Bandicoot. So now we got all the ghosts and spirits out of the way. We're going to go to the big orange man himself, Crash, and we're going to show what happens to him in specific death animations. It's very consistent when Crash dies in games. If he explodes from a nitro crate, they'll like show his little shoes and a bunch of ashes. Like, there's tons and tons of death animations. He'll puff up if he gets hit by the blowfish. If the bees sting him, he gets all puffy. But if he does become a spirit, he always has wings. So this is from the original trilogy, and in Twinsanity, he actually has another angel appearance. Sometimes he'll have a harp, other times he has the didgeridoo. He'll carry Polar, as you saw in the last image, but when Crash passes away, and he is a spirit, he has angelic qualities, and he flies towards the top of the screen, insinuating he's going to heaven. So the Crash series has two different death animation styles of the afterlife. There are spirits, and there are, I guess you can call the angels, souls. In Crash Bash, when characters die, whether it's good or evil, because you have Cortex on the evil side along with Koala Kong, and then you have Tiny on the good side. And this is what happens in Crash Bash when characters pass away. They become light orbs with flowing wings, flapping wings that flow like light. So it's unspecified as to why sometimes they're spirits and sometimes they're souls, but in Crash Bash, this is what they look like. So we'll continue on to playable characters that die, and we will see their death animations. Dingo Dial in Crash Bash has the little spirit orb, but then here he has his angelic soul. So even if you are a bad guy, quote unquote, you can redeem yourself and go to heaven, it appears. In Twinsanity, when Cortex dies, again, on the evil side, he also gets a halo and wings. So this tells me that no matter what you do in your life, you will go to heaven. But then Crash 4 throws a wrench in this. The first instance of a hell-like afterlife. When Cortex dies in Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, he gets devil horns, devil wings, and he's surrounded by fire. So Cortex is going to hell. So this confirms that heaven and hell exist in the Crash Bandicoot series. I guess one could say because Crash Bash was good versus evil, it was just the villains and the heroes following orders from Aku Aku and Uka Uka. Perhaps they aren't being judged, and this is just them in their spirit form. And then in Crash Twinsanity, when Crash and Cortex are the heroes saving the world, they get to go to heaven. I guess spoiler warning for the end of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Cortex actually turns out to be the final villain of the game. So perhaps this was foreshadowing that Cortex wasn't as good as he appeared to be as a playable character in Crash Bandicoot 4, and he was actually the bad guy all along. So I feel pretty confident in saying that we've proven that there is a heaven and a hell in the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Whether Crash will ever visit that, it's up to be seen. Perhaps we'll visit in a future installment. Crash has been all over. He's been back in time. He's been to the future. He's been to outer space. He's been to different dimensions, different time periods. So maybe he'll eventually visit heaven and hell. Who knows? If you made it this far into the video, I guess we can say for the secret word to show everybody that you made it through the whole thing, or maybe you just skipped to the end to get this word, we'll say demonic cortex. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you had fun learning about the afterlife of Crash Bandicoot, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a good night.